seeing more of the airsoft type guns and the BB guns that look like they're toys and they're legal in a sense, but they look like real guns, the automatic rifles and the handguns. So it's just important to preach gun safety to everyone, juveniles, family members. Once you fire a firearm, you have to be responsible for what leaves that barrel.
Let's talk about the mother. If she was aware that her 14-year-old son was purchasing gun parts online,
Yes.
why aren't there any scrutinized criminal charges on that front for some parental negligence on that part? Because, if he would not have purchased those parts, he would not have assembled that gun and would have still been here.
Absolutely, and that was to her knowledge, and this was over time. The incident, of course, that I'm talking about happened on the 30th, but he had been purchasing parts over time, and in and around that time, it finally assembled it, if you will. She was not aware of any ammunition, as far as him being in possession of any ammunition. She was aware that he was purchasing parts off the internet. We're still working on that as well. We always like to go back if we can to find out where those parts came from. It's easier said than done, but that's still part of our investigation. Again, she was not aware of the ammunition. We did actually prepare an affidavit, and it was 82703 2B, child neglect through culpable negligence in reference to the adult mother, and that was denied by the state attorney office once again because of the idea that there was her knowledge there was no ammunition in the house in that regard.
So you did file?
We did.
Against them?
Yes, we prepared an affidavit, yes.
As a father, what's your reaction hearing that this child may not live, well, is not living out their life, taken so shortly due to what could have been just a harmful playing with gun? Yep.
Very, very unfortunate. Again, we have to preach gun safety and that sort of thing all the time. I have 3 young adult children, but certainly as a law enforcement officer for 32 plus years and having firearms, they're always, you take them home, you keep them locked up, you keep them away from their where they can get to them, especially as a young child, because we all know that young children have curiosity in that regard. So it's just very tragic. It certainly could have been preventable and should have been preventable. We should not have been called there that night, but unfortunately we were.
Chief, how did you find out that the stories weren't accurate? I mean, your initial reaction, believe that he told his mother that he accidentally shot himself?
Yes. He went to her bedroom and said he had accidentally shot himself. I'm sorry. She heard the gun go off. He was with 2 other friends in the bedroom when it happened, and he went in and told his mother that he had accidentally shot himself. And of course, at that time, it's calling us and getting first responders on the way to include, EMS paramedic for life-saving measures. So, and as I mentioned, he succumbed to his injury in that regard.
Where was the shot?
In the lower stomach, abdomen area.
And did his friends come forward later and say that wasn't the case?
Yeah, further investigation revealed that that did not happen, where one of the friends that he was with, again, 3 in the same bedroom, that the individual that was killed and deceased had the firearm in his hand. There was no magazine in the gun. The other one didn't know it was loaded, and he had it in his hand. The deceased went to grab it, and it accidentally went off, and that's per the other juvenile that was in the room. So one must have been in the chamber. Of course, you can't see that readily, and there was no magazine. And he claimed he did not pull the trigger. That in the one individual's grabbing at the gun, grabbing at the slide, it accidentally went off.
Chief, the ammunition, where did they get it? Was it already in the home, or did they get it from somewhere else?
The parts to assemble the gun came via purchasing on the internet, and it had to have been delivered to the home to assemble. Again, I think this went on for a year or so as far as getting the parts, working toward assembling it, and it was right around the time he finally had it assembled that this occurred.
How easy is it for kids or teenagers to order online parts to make a gun? Is it really that?
Evidently, it's pretty easy, and that's unfortunate. You know, again, sometimes it's even difficult to find out, even trying to track it through technology. It's difficult to find out where the items came from. So, unfortunately, whether it's via crimes, break-ins, thefts, or other friends getting firearms, family members, what have you, in the house that aren't secure, internet assembly, internet purchase. All too often, there's too many ways to purchase a firearm.
Did they get the ammo on the internet as well?
I don't believe so. We don't know that. And there, of course, was ammunition there, and that's one part where the mother claimed she did have knowledge of.
Do we have a visual of the firearm? Do you have any photos of it?
We do. We can share that with you if you want to.
And that was purchased by parts from the internet?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the actual gun?
Yes.
Do you know what caliber that is?
9mm? 9mm.
So
So
you
one
go on the
round-
internet and put together your own 9mm and have it delivered?
Yeah, it's you've heard of the word ghost gun, and that's what it is. Pretty much, you can't trace it. You know, again, parts come, no serial number, nothing to register, nothing to track it as far as the serial number goes. You know, we have VIN numbers for cars, firearms have model numbers and serial numbers. This does not. Once again, difficult in that regard as well.
Were the parts coming from a certain website or manufacturer or?
We haven't found that out as of this time, Jennifer.
It was over a Tor browser, which is basically dark web, so it's very difficult to trace.
If you find the person or persons responsible, can they also face charges? Deal with a
We
minor?
think they can, and honestly, we will try. Easier said than done, but I think that's something that if we do find the individual or company, that you certainly owe it to our community to try. Again, easier said than done.
Did CPS get involved? CPS?
CP
Child Protective Services, as
Oh.
far as like.
No, we had
the
victims
case.
victims advocate respond, and services for the two other boys that were there, family members. The school district also had victim advocate type services as well for counseling.